Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Finding Peaks Show. You have it here today, your host, Chris Burns, president and founder at Peaks Recovery Centers, also known as company cheerleader. I didn't set him up.
Burnsy. I was going to say Burnsy.
I was like, what's happening?
We have our chief clinical officer and one of our longest standing employees, Jason Friesma, here today. Grateful to have you on the show.
Wait. One of? Who's been here longer?
Oh no.
Oh.
The longest standing employee.
Yeah, thank you.
Every time I'm around Bo, she's like, I'm the longest standing employee here. I'm like, yeah, you are. Anyway, I got that wrong. But we have Kara here as well, who's a residential manager with us and just a great professional as well as person in long-term recovery. So really grateful to have her on here today. Also wanted to mention we all have purple on, representative of Domestic Violence Awareness Day, 1 week ago today, give or take.
Give or take.
We're also representing Bully Prevention Month. As well as Spirit Day, and that is a topic that is near and dear to my heart, domestic violence and bullying. And so I just want to stand up for those that can't stand up for themselves today and bring awareness to that, because it's a very, very important issue, of which we see a lot of the results of that in our behavioral health care companies. So grateful to represent in a positive direction for that today. Grateful to have you both on the show. Let's get this thing going.
Good to be here.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go. See? Here we go. So we got Kara on today. I met Kara. Why don't you describe the first time that we met and what that was like for you?
Yeah, so you were actually in Kansas. I don't know if you were marketing or what you were doing, but you came on an amends trip with somebody that I actually knew. And I remember you clearly because I remember you making a scene because everybody had their iPads and their phones, and you're like, what is this? And that's how we met. And then you told me about Peaks, and yeah.
Yeah, it was a really cool situation too. I was at Atchison Valley Hope, and you're right. I brought, in our former program, we had an extended care program, which was a bit longer. And young guys would go back home and make amends and, bring somebody in the program that was getting ready to make amends as well. And I went into that, it was like the rec room at Atchison Valley Hope. And I'm sitting down and nobody's talking to me. And everybody is in their phone in primary care treatment. And I'm like, I remember going, what are you guys doing? What is going on here? And I'm like, Kara? What's your name? You're like, I'm Kara. And I said, well, what are you doing next? And she said, well, I think I'm going to do the IOP, the outpatient program. And I said, how is that different than the time before? And you said, it's not. I've done it multiple times. And I said, if you want to do something different, give me a call. Gave her my number. And I was like, she's never going to call.
Oh, I'm pretty sure my dad called you.
Yeah. And then you followed up too. And I was like, holy crap. Yeah, your dad said, hey, did you talk to my daughter? I was like, I did. That is awesome. And then Kara came out and was a part of Serenity Peaks Recovery Center, which was our former women's program.
Which means that I'm actually the real OG. I've been here from the beginning.
Yeah,
from the beginning, the first group of women to go through, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Are there any other women that you went through in that first round that you still communicate with?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Bobby.
Okay.
Molly.
Shout out to Bobby.
Nice.
Molly.
Yeah. Kelsey. Yeah. Not all the time, but I'm still pretty close with Bobby though.
That's awesome.
And a lot of them are still doing good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that, those connected features in that. And can you talk about a little bit, what was different? You'd been, a couple places before Peaks Recovery, Atchison Valley Hope a few times.
Atchison Valley Hope. I had went to a place called Teen Challenge.
Okay.
To be honest with you, when I came to Peaks, I think it was just, I really felt cared about, to be completely honest. And I think it was also a big part was because I stayed, I had no intention of staying in Colorado. And you did ask me that too, okay, so what's gonna be different? I had always went home, and I knew that if I had any chance to be sober, at that point I wasn't seeing my kids, that I had to stay. And it was the community, it was the connection.
Yeah, that's huge. And it must be difficult too as a mother to say, hey, I actually have to put this on hold.
Yeah.
And I need to take care of myself. And in my experience in the last 13 years, that takes good mothers to great mothers. And I got to watch you transform from a really good mother who truly cares about her kids into what I see today, which is a great mother who is connecting, who helps other mothers. It's just a really beautiful thing to watch your recovery unfold. Can you talk to me a little bit about the first few times when you went to treatment? What do you think it was outside of the care, potentially the connection, that kept you stuck?
Well, I mean, I will say I don't think I ever got into a lot of the deeper work. I would go to, Valley Hope, which would be 30 days, and that just wasn't enough time to get into that work. But then I also wouldn't follow through after to whether it be IOP or whatever that was, individual therapy. I could never get to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was something that I got here.
Yeah, most definitely. It's kind of like that bridge. It almost needs to be compassion and love to get to the other side because I have to feel safe.
Right.
Right, and I have to feel safe with the people in front of me. And can you talk about what that safety feels like in here?
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's grown over the last few years. So when I got out of Peaks, I had went through something that was really hard, and I was able to stay sober, but I started acting out in other ways, whether it be, self-harm or just getting very angry, and it was really hard. There was a lot of grief that I hadn't worked through, a lot of trauma that I hadn't worked through. So I would say in 2017, 2018 is whenever I started somatic experiencing, which is a trauma therapy, and it focuses more on your body. So I was used to very much talk therapy. So I remember when I went in and I met my therapist, she started, sharing this idea with me, and I was like no. I was like, no, like we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because that's what I knew. And she said, okay, well, I want you to be open-minded to it. And so I started doing all these kooky things that didn't make any sense, but what I know was that something changed, because I used to, we carry a lot of trauma in our bodies. So I mean, I used to show up, at meetings or large groups of people, and I would feel so unsafe, and I would just start crying, or just things like that, or I would feel unsafe, and I would start self-harming or whatever it be, and that really helped me to calm my nervous system, to calm my body down, so I can then process those big emotions.
Yeah.
Whether it be shame or grief or loss, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's almost like there's like a lock on the top of the box to get to the intensity, and the key that opens it is safety.
Yeah, no, I could never access it because I didn't feel safe within myself.
Yeah.
Once I felt safe within myself, I could start connecting with those emotions
And
and getting to the real,
Yeah.
the intimate parts of myself.
Yeah. Which, generally speaking, we can't see clearly whatsoever until that safety is really contracted for and invested in. So yeah, I really love you sharing that, because to watch you over the years, it's just kind of been a steady pace in a recovery direction. And it's not like a bat out of hell, and it shouldn't be if we're doing it the right way. It's sustainable day after day, and it's just really cool to have watched you grown into, not only in your personal life, but in your professional life, having been able to help hundreds of people and be a part of a really, really cool process. I'm gonna swing it over to here, because I did the same thing a handful of weeks ago. We had Angela in here, who actually worked with Jason too. And Jason's been a professional in this field longer than most people at Peaks Recovery, the 90s.
Since the 1900s.
Since the 1900s. Since the 1900s.
Yeah.
And so I like to swing it back over to Jason, because he gets a lot of cool examples real time as a professional to see folks that he once worked with, and we're in a very vulnerable position, and now we're doing the same thing for others. And so, just to hear Kara show up in this authentic way today, I mean, how does that feel for you?
It's pretty remarkable, Chris, to be honest with you. Having known Kara now for, over 6 years, I suppose, I think there were times when it seemed really dark and hopeless, even in the middle of walking through a recovery process, because the path wasn't clear. And I do sometimes talk about how sometimes it's like wearing a headlamp. Chris, you've done a lot of hiking. I've done a lot of hiking with you with a headlamp on our head. And sometimes you have to trust the trail, and your headlamp lights up one step in front of you, and that's it. And there were times for Kara where the headlamp maybe lit up a half a step, but that next half step you kept diligently taking it, because I couldn't see the trail ahead of you, and you couldn't see the trail ahead of you 6-7 years ago. It didn't seem I don't know. It just seemed very big and long and difficult. And honestly, I've just got to watch and experience you taking that next step. And now it seems like the clouds have parted, the sun is up, whatever, headlamps off. Like the trail seems way more apparent, I think, for you. And it is wild to just watch. And it is a gift of Peaks. I think that, you know, we started this a while ago now,
Yeah.
and like, and to know you for this long, I think is just so, just a gift to me. Because it doesn't happen in counseling very often either, where you get to
Yeah.
actually see somebody for this long and watch this much improvement, and to be, you know, close in the story, and then be back off from the story for a while, and now get to see it be full circle, and now you work with us, and it's
Yes.
great to see you every day. So, yeah, does that answer your
That's
question?
great.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's okay. Good. Yeah, what
know,
he said. Yeah.
As Jason was talking, I want to show the viewers how early in Peaks recovery history Kara got here. So our CEO, Brandon Burns, he's our chief executive officer. He does a phenomenal job running the company, far better than I could for certain. But I used to take him into circle groups at Crestwood.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
When Serenity Peaks, and you remember, yeah.
Crestwood.
So I'd take him in. He'd fly in from Seattle, you know, doing his marketing job, and I'd be like, "Hey, we're going to Circle tonight," and Brandon would just sit there in Circle, just like, "What is this?" Like, and he had never worked in the field, nor was he in addiction recovery, most certainly. And so I just remember that. Do you remember having Brandon in
Yeah,
there?
I do.
Yeah.
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 You would come to Circle every week.
Yeah. Yeah, right into the house,
Yeah.
for sure. I love that he was able to get his start in there, because that is just like, and he came back.
Yeah.
You know, which is really cool. How has it been for you as a professional, helping others and growing along those lines?
Oh yeah. Yeah, over the last 4 years, I have grown professionally. I have grown individually, and I feel like my biggest superpower is the work I've done on myself. Like I get to give that back to our clients. Oftentimes, right, like our clients come in and it's really scary and they want to focus on all these external things, you know, and I found that when you really turn inside and focus on your internal reality, all that other stuff, it comes. Your external reality will change when you focus on this. And because of the work I've done, that's what I get to give away.
My best superhuman power is the work I've done on myself. Wow. That's extraordinary. And that's been really my experience in the last couple of years since I've really got into some SE work. It's my greatest tool.
Yes.
Is the work that I'm doing. And in fact, I get out of set or whatever it might be, and I just can't wait to share these new parts about myself and these realizations that I think can afford people in the early recovery stages some freedom and some openness and some space to explore what safety looks like for them. I want to touch on something too, like you have your kids back in your life today.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And how's that?
Yeah. It's amazing. So Hayden, my oldest son, it's a little bit different, but it's a door open. I got to see him over this summer, and I hadn't seen him for years. And it was such a gift, and it's still something that we're working on, but it's an open door, and I would have never had that had I not stayed and had I not continued the work. And for my son Jackson, having him, I learned so much from my children, and I really try to slow down to pay attention to what I can learn from my children. And again, because of the work I've done, I get to see the messages that are received, you know, and it makes me become a better parent. You know, my son will be like, well, Mom, like, maybe he'll say, you know, I didn't want to tell you that because I was afraid like you would yell at me. And I'm like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
And I would never be able to know that had I not done my own work. So I learned so much from my children. And then my daughter Dakota, my 2-year-old that I had in sobriety, that's just been a whole journey in itself because I got to do everything from the beginning sober. You know, everything. Being pregnant, having her, and that is a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been amazing.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. You know, I'm thinking of just 6-8 weeks ago when we were at Air City 360, and I'm hanging out with Jackson, and I take him up on the zip line, and I can tell the way that kid looks at his mom, like she's his hero, and that is just such an exceptional thing to have bear witness to, be a part of, and be in the presence of. Is just like this real active and purposeful recovery. And the fact that your kids actually feel safe to be like, oh man, you yelled at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that. That's huge. Tells me you're doing a lot of things right on that side.
Yeah.
Jason.
I was just going to pipe in and say, you know, my kids are older than your guys' kids. But as you're talking, I'm reminded that I just remember my kids would just hold up a mirror to me. And particularly of me as an adult, but also me as when I was their age. And when they're going to kindergarten, I can remember my kids going to kindergarten, and then I would reflect on my own experience going to kindergarten. And it would both expose good things and also wounds that would appear and things that I had to that would emerge that I would have to work on for myself all along the way, all the way up, to even presently. Like they still continue to hold that mirror up. And it's powerful because, your story you just shared too about your son being afraid to like share with you something hard, afraid I was going to be mad at you. What a gift to like have that level of honesty. And we talk about all the time, Chris, with your kids too, and what and the honesty they can provide for you. That just demonstrates such amazing trust. And that wouldn't come if you were passing your trauma and shame onto your kids. They wouldn't be able to trust that. And I think that's like probably the best part of this whole story, actually, is the trust that your kids can find in both of you, truthfully, due to the work you've done.
Yeah, I just think it's exceptional to hear a story like that because it says there's hope.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hope. And I have more hope today with the tools that we have at our disposal in 2021, the SE, the EMDR, the connected client-centered care, trauma-informed around every corner. We have a real opportunity today to recover in a really meaningful way, I think, better than ever. And so when I hear chronic relapse, haven't been successful, I say you just haven't had the right people in front of you. And I think that today we have a really magical way to walk people in and out of their shame through an authentic process that is connected, loving, nurturing, and compassionate. And when I got sober in 2008, it just wasn't that way. We were more of a rock bottom approach. And I just love this today because it gives people, to your point, the opportunity to explore for themselves what safety looks like instead of me telling you what it is for you, which is how that old approach was, which you may have even got a little bit of that when we started at Peaks. So is there anything else you want to say to the people before we jump offline here?
No, just thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your recovery. Thank you for the way that you show up in this world as an authentic, recovering human. The world would be a much better place if there was 1,000 Karas in it. So thank you for being here. Jay Freeze, you know what time it is. Thank you, everybody. Let's go! Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Again, Domestic Violence Awareness Day, Spirit Day, Bully Prevention Month. All of those things are very important, near and dear to our big hearts here at Peaks Recovery Centers. Stay safe out there, and if you ever need someone to talk to, just give us a call. Find us on all of your podcasts, Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff out there. You know what I'm talking about. Let's make it great. Peace.